Oh, hey, Ron here. Real quickly, I'm gonna make just a quick summary of how I read 3 to 5 books a week, okay? A lot of people, they read about 2 books a month, if that, and they find it like a hard time for them to read a book. You know, they're like, I can't finish a book. It takes me too long to finish it. I get confused along the way. I don't know how to break it down. And this is simply the process I use to read 3 to 5 books a week. And first step you want to do is you want to read at least 50 pages a day, okay? How I do this is, in the morning I wake up, usually I'm reading 3 books at a time, and I'm reading 50 pages of each book, okay? So at the end of the day, I'm reading 150 pages total from 3 separate books. 50 pages from book 1, 50 pages from book 2, and 50 pages from book 3, right? You need a system, you need a process. So when I wake up, boom, ABCs of Success, Bob Proctor. If you can't read 50 pages in one sitting, like I know some people have a difficult time doing that, what you could do is chunk it down, right? Everything you want to do, if it's learning how to play a sport, learning how to play an instrument, learning how to read a book, you want to chunk it down. So instead of looking at it like I need to read 50 pages of this book, look at it like I'm going to read 10 pages of this book, take a 2-second break, read another 10 pages, take a 2-second break, and you're gonna keep doing that until you reach 50 pages total, okay? This is exactly what I do when I feel a little bit overwhelmed. I wake up, boom, ABCs of Success. I read 50 pages, break it down to 10 groups of 10, and you'll be all set, right? After I do book 1, I take a break. I do book 2, I take a break, and then I do book 3. So for me to read 50 pages of a book, it probably takes 5 minutes. For you, you want to probably baby step it. You know, you should probably read just 1 book at a time, break it up with the 50, and you'll be all set. And most books are between 200 pages and 300 pages. So if you're doing this, if you're reading 50 pages a day from 1 book, you'll pretty much finish the book in 4 days, okay? And if you're reading 2 books in one time, you'll finish 2 books in 4 days. If you're doing 3 books, you'll finish 3 books in 4 days, okay? There's 7 days in a week. So that's just the baseline. If you want to like pick it up and read more books, you can, but you always want to chunk it down and you want to read it in chunks, okay? So 50 pages of each type of book, and if you're having a hard time reading that 50 when you first wake up or before you sleep, read in 10-page intervals, okay? 10 pages, take a 20-second, 30-second break or a minute break, another 10, another 10, another 10, one more 10, and you'll be all set, okay? And also, don't read just one type of book. The ABCs of Success by Bob Proctor, this is a success book, okay? You want to make sure that you're diversifying your assets. You want to switch it up, switch your basket up. Read more than one type of book. You should be reading psychology books, you should be reading history books, you should be reading math books, you should be reading science books, you should be reading autobiographies, you should be reading a whole plethora of different types of books. Never just one book, okay? Read different types of books, that way your brain will be bouncing ideas around. So me, what I like to do is, before I sleep, I read a biography of someone who just done some crazy stuff in their life. That way I can, you know, rub shoulders with them and see what they went through, like Jerry Weintraub, you know, someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, somebody like, I just read a book on Alexander the Great. Reading books about these guys and their biographies will definitely get you ahead. I read those at night, right? In the morning, I like to read books that are philosophical. I like to read Will Durant, I like to read Nietzsche, I like to read Confucius. I like to read all these types of guys because these guys are the best people to consult with when you wake up in the morning, okay? And books like this, ABCs of Success, you know, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, books like those, I like to read them in the middle of the day. So I'm reading 3 times a day, usually, and I'm reading 3 different types of books, okay? So I'm reading a lot of books per week, and that's typically how I break it down, okay? So the big message I want to just send to you is make sure you're breaking these books down. If you're having a hard time finishing a book because it's just overwhelming, look, don't try to read 200 pages in one sitting if you can't do it. It's a lot of work, trust me. You want to read in 50-page intervals, and you want to break it down 10, 10, 10 until you finish that 50 for the day, okay? And one last thing that I want to leave you with too is do not be intimidated by the book. A lot of guys, they see me reading really fast and they're like, how are you reading so fast? How are you reading so many books? Is there something wrong with me? What do I need to learn? What's wrong? And honestly, it just takes time. When I first started, it took me 1 month to read a book. Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. That's the first book I read on my own, without any schooling, that I took seriously. It took me a long time to read that book. It was a 500-page book, and it took me like a month, okay? Now I can read the book in like 2 days, but that's only because I've spent years reading like this every single day. It's like a muscle, you know? The more you work out that muscle, the easier it's gonna be to pick up that weight. So I can pick up a 200-page book, I can read that in like 30 minutes. And that's only because I spent a long time conditioning those muscles, understanding books, how to read books, and having that process down. So do not feel intimidated when it comes to a book. Make sure that, you know, you're not intimidated by it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna just, you know, I'm gonna get better at it as time moves on. I'm gonna look at it in chunks, and I'm just gonna keep going at it every day, 10, 50 pages a day, until I finish at least 1 book a week, right? So hopefully that helped you. Enjoying the Boston weather here, and definitely subscribe, and hopefully that was some good value for you.